It is Sunday, August the 20th, 2017. This epoch music is perfect for what we just witnessed at SummerSlam. It is Wrestleview Live number 9. I am Adam Martin of Wrestleview.com. Good to be back on YouTube. We haven't been on YouTube for many weeks now. We had a little bit of a breather. And it's good to be back for a gigantic, if I can say the word, gigantic show tonight. That was a hell of a main event. I can't wait to talk about this in a little bit. And we got Doug Lackey back with us, and he's got video this time. We figured it out, Douglas. Good to have you back with a goddamn professional broadcaster headset on you as well. So
yeah, yeah. I look about as professional as a professional gamer.
Well, there's a lot of those these days.
You know, I'm. It looks like I'm ready to play some PUBG here or something.
Fuck yeah, that's a great game. First of all, how was your break? We had 3 weeks off. Was it? Or?
Oh yeah, I think we had like 3 weeks off, and I enjoyed 1 week of that over at North Myrtle Beach. Where I was considerably sunburned.
You got destroyed.
I'm telling you, like right now, my left shoulder is still like scabbing over from the burn that I got. Because on one of the Friday that I was there for the week, we ended up going to a water park over there at Myrtle Beach. And I decided, you know what, they got this little lazy river where, you know, you lie in an inner tube and you go around slowly around this lap of a stream. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to chill in that. I almost dozed off, and I was in this inner tube for about half hour to 40 minutes. And the sun just blasting on top of me, reflecting off the water underneath me. Deanna looked at my shoulders after we got back, and she said, Doug, you may have like second-degree burns on your shoulders.
I was going to put up the photo, but I don't know if you wanted your bare chest all over YouTube, so I'll let that.
Oh, hey, I mean, we've got to get female viewers somehow.
It's very possible.
But also, I started shedding profusely this skin. I need to vacuum my office floor because it is just littered with dead skin all over. It's disgusting. But no, I'm a very healthy tan, I think.
A very healthy tan. Sorry if there was a weird noise just now. My keyboard likes to just turn off randomly. I don't know why at times. I saw the photo, actually. I'll effort to get this on the screen here. It was pretty amazing. At least was it super warm where you were at, or was it a comfy level? Because I was just in the Florida Keys and that sucked. I mean, it's nice to go there.
Yeah.
But it's too hot.
It was incredibly humid.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. The humidity was like always between 90 to 100%. But we had a nice breeze and the temperature wasn't bad. I think it was like a temp of in the mid 80s, getting to upper 80s, but the heat index was ungodly unbearable.
Yeah, it was terrible. It's like I know this is a bad month to obviously go to tropical climates, but good Lord, it stinks. Look at that. I'm checking out the back that you got destroyed there. And look at that big barrely chest of Douglas destroyed.
Yes, seriously, yes.
Destroyed. That's awesome. Looks good. Looks beautiful. So we're back. We're refreshed. I turned off wrestling for a week, and as if on cue, I have this curse. I always joke about this with Jason Amico. Like anytime I take a week off or 4 or 5 days, man, something happens, and the Flair thing happened, which will thankfully has not gotten. I was expecting that to take a real bad turn for the worse, but we'll talk about that later because we'll have some time to fit some stuff in. But man, what a freaking show tonight! I think we both look at the length of wrestling shows, and we both go like, oh, and it like we've grown to kind of, I don't know if disgust is the best word, but like WrestleMania over the last couple of years has progressively gotten longer. The SummerSlam thing is a little new. I want to say the last couple of years they've been doing really longer shows, but tonight I kind of parachuted in at times during the 2-hour kickoff show. So technically it was 6 hours tonight, but I don't really count a kickoff show as the main show because when you dial up the show on the network, you have to Dial Up the Kickoff show separate from this show, so I don't really put them in the same category.
Yeah.
I thought the 4 hours flew right by. I am dying to talk about this main event because I'd rather start there, but I have to tell you off the bat, 4 hours just flew right by for me.
It flew for me too. It almost started to drag a little bit during the Enzo Big Cass Big Show match, the Shark Cage match, because I was kind of watching. I just wasn't really feeling it. It was kind of a drag, and it was also, I caught the tag match during the pre-show of the Usos and New Day. And so I was kind of, in my mind, I was like, well, why aren't they having this match instead of the Shark Cage match? And so it kind of dumbed down a little bit for me there, but man, did it pick up the pace when it was Rollins and Ambrose against Sheamus and Cesaro. That brought the pace of the show way back up. And yeah, it didn't feel like a 4-hour show. I mean, there have been plenty of 4-hour shows that we've complained about that have just been not unbearable, but kind of a strain to watch.
Like a drag.
But not this one. Even WrestleMania was a tough 4 hours to watch.
Yeah, that.
I can't think of I think this is probably one of the better 4-hour pay-per-views that they've had. I can't really think of one off the top of my head right now, but this one was bearable. I'll give it that.
It was very good. And it was weird for me because I didn't, I was kind of going in, I don't know if I want to say blind, but I did not watch an ounce, a minute, a second, whatever you want to call it, of WWE programming last week. I just, going full bore. Yeah, I had to. I mean, going full bore all year, it's just like, you gotta just take, and I know it's probably not the smartest time of the year to decide to cool down when it's like the third biggest weekend of the entire year. But it was nice to kind of just turn it off and relax. And it helps because, like some of the stuff they were showing in the video package I didn't necessarily see, but it just kind of made things feel a little refreshing today. I really, really want to talk about this main event. I'm done babbling about Holy shit, was this great. I typed on our on the Facebook group, the Trey and Adam Show Facebook group, that it felt like tonight was Godzilla versus King Kong versus Cloverfield versus the Marshmallow Man. And it was just like the 4 biggest dudes they could find on the roster and just stuck them in the ring, and it was just so awesome. And there was even that fun little tease of, because I'm sure you've been paying attention to, all the Brock Lesnar potential, UFC stuff. And that could become a reality, but that's not so much a reality right now as so much as it will be, next year when his suspension resumes, if he decides to start undergoing USADA testing again. So that's something that I know there was talk of, like, what if they sit like, John Jones front row, but I don't think the WWE really wants to get in that game right now because they're not. If Lesnar does go back to the UFC, he'll have already fulfilled his contractual obligations with the WWE by that point. So I don't think they're really interested in doing that. But it was something they could still play off of, which is what they did the last few weeks on television, hinting that if he lost, he would leave. And because they did that, I noticed it really turned the thought process of a lot of people that talk on our message board on Facebook or comments I would see on Twitter, where people go, well, this is how they're gonna write Brock off the show. And I didn't think for a second Brock was losing tonight, but for some reason people really bought into that UFC coverage. And I'm sure it didn't help that John Jones was, after he destroyed Daniel Cormier in the 3rd round, he cuts a promo on Brock, basically saying, come to the UFC if you want to get your ass kicked by a guy that weighs 40 pounds less than you. So people got all, excited as they do. And I was excited when I saw him say that too, but by no means did I think that was even a reality for the next, 6 months to maybe even a year. But wow, Doug, did that really seem to make people think that he was going to lose tonight? And they even kind of had fun with it by having Braun destroy him and then bring out the stretcher, and then he comes back to the ring. And I just I thought they played that so well tonight and really messed with wrestling fans. And I always am a big fan when they can kind of blur the lines a little bit. So I thought that was great, and I just loved every second of this, man. It's for all the assholes that I see that say, oh, Brock Lesnar is a waste of this company's time and he needs to go. Shut up. I mean, this is another example about how now granted, it wasn't just him. There was obviously Braun did some great stuff. Joe did good stuff. Roman did some good stuff. But Brock really just rounds it out when he's involved, because you just feel like there's just utter chaos when he's in there. And holy shit, did they do that tonight really, really well. I loved every second of this.
At first I was a little hesitant, because when it comes to Lesnar, this is only the second multi-man match that he's been in since he's come back with the company. And we're looking at now upwards of 5 years that he's been back. But there is something, again, like we talked about earlier, about how every Brock match just has this chaotic aura about it. It's not that you don't know what's going to happen. It's because it has that pacing. It has the pacing of a non-WWE match, and you know how those the matches are, to where someone goes to the well one too much, and someone gets smarter from one of the performers, and you can basically sit back and watch any WWE match and go, okay, here's the ender, and there it is, and you know when the match would end. This match, holy hell, I mean, just out of the gates, just goes bonkers. I like how at the beginning of this, it builds up to where Brock first, suplexes Roman, everyone goes nuts. Then he suplexes Joe, everyone goes nuts. And you finally get Brock and Braun in there, the crowd going bonkers, but then Joe and Roman get back in there. People start booing because they aren't getting what they want to see. They finally get what they want to see, and holy hell, are we painting Braun as this indestructible creature. And the only way that he can be done in is by his own mistakes. And that's kind of what happened a little bit in this match, to where throughout the match, they're trying to make sure that Joe, Roman, and also Brock, when he returns, to make sure that he's out of the picture so that he doesn't come back. But this match in particular, when it comes to Brock, I never really thought that they would paint him as the ultimate babyface in this either. This whole being stretchered out and coming back, you don't see that Willis Reed aspect come out unless it's for a babyface of some kind. No one ever thought during the build of this match that this was him as the babyface. Okay, everyone was really anticipating that, oh, it's Roman because he's Vince's guy, and boo Roman, ba boo, and kind of people thought Samoa Joe would be sort of the face because, crowd kind of likes chanting Joe and everything. Braun, everyone just loves right now.
Oh, yeah.
Including myself. I adore him right now. But no one would have thought that the Willis Reed overture would be played by Brock Lesnar. And he played it very well. Coming back from the stretcher and suplexing guys left and right. But what I like, too, is that they are painting his F5 as sort of an RKO. Just comes out of nowhere and you win, and it's after a chaotic fatal four-way match where everyone is just completely spent. And so one F5 will do someone in. Okay. And it's believable. Did I imagine that Brock was going to win this match? I'll be honest, I had no prediction. I did say on our Facebook page that I was thinking Braun would win, and I painted out this long scenario of programs that they would do. But I have no problem that Brock won. I got no problem that Brock's the champ. I want more of this. I got to have more of this chaotic atmosphere that he brings to matches. Painting him and Braun for the next pay-per-view at No Mercy in 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Please. Here, how much do you want? I've already paid for your subscription. What more would you like? That is what I would like. Is it what we get? We can only hope.
I hope so.
And I believe that's what everyone would love to see. But God, a chaotic match between Brock and Braun. Oh God. Oh. I'm getting a chubby.
And how great was Heyman tonight? I mean, Heyman.
He was crying.
Yeah, crying by Brock getting destroyed.
God, crying like a mother that just saw her son being pulled out of a car wreck.
God, he doesn't get a lot of credit. I think and Shane was another guy tonight that did a great job of really the facial expressions and interacting with the whole environment tonight. So I thought Paul and Shane did excellent job tonight, and we'll talk about that match in a little bit. But man, Man, I'm just the the pure 100% chaos that they were able to kind of stitch together tonight was exceptional. I thought, and it was an interesting decision too to put this. Obviously, we knew they were going to close with this match tonight. I mean, this was, for all intents and purposes, this was a one match show for me tonight. Even though I thought the undercard was put together very well, and every match kind of had a reason for it taking place. But for the most part, I mean, we were wanting to see. I was wanting to see this match, and I kind of asked a question on Twitter earlier in the week. You know, what are you looking forward to? And this match just completely, ran away with the win. But I was interested to see that they went with Jinder Mahal and Shinsuke Nakamura as the co-main event, because usually they like to calm down the crowd a little bit and then go full bore. And this is like, it reminded me of like, old school WWF, where they would just put the top championship matches as the last two matches, or that's how it would go on like a house show or a live event or something. And I don't think that this was a bad match between Mahal and Nakamura by any means. I think people were really expecting Nakamura to win, so I feel like the internet reaction is going to be negative towards it because of the finish that they did, but it kind of feels like things are still going really, really well with Jinder. I'm not ready to move on from it. I know, it's the cheap heel bullshit stuff where he gets help, to win matches, but I think that there's still some life to it. Another thing too is the video package they did in that kind of HBO boxing, Showtime boxing narrator kind of thing. How awesome was that? I mean, that was incredibly well done. They did some awesome production tonight, hyping matches, but that one for sure stood out to me. But I joked on the Facebook group. Everyone was talking during the show. I said, we got to keep this Jinder train rolling. As far as I'm concerned, they can take this thing out to WrestleMania if they really, really want to. Unless for some reason it just starts to really derail around the Royal Rumble time. But I just wasn't really ready for that. And not to say that a belt makes a character, but in this case, the title surprised everybody. So then it's elevated him and it's kept him at this, this interesting spot on SmackDown. And I just wasn't ready to just hurry up and go with Shinsuke. I think at some point they will with him, and I see a lot of upside with Shinsuke, but I didn't feel like tonight was the right moment. Did you feel the same, or did you think they missed the boat by not doing the title change?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Now is not the time to, I don't want to say derail the Jinder train, nor put it into the hangar or the bay for now. No, not at all. Roll with this thing. I mean, I think the last time that there was truly an entertaining, and I do want to call it chicken shit heel, where you've got the minions distracting and everything. I think the last time I can think of a really effective chicken shit heel like this, I almost wanted to say JBL.
Yeah.
JBL was the last really great one. You could say probably the last one that anyone can remember is Seth Rollins, but that one wasn't great. That just did not have the feel that this one has, just because, again, Jinder Mahal is out of the blue, and by God, he's been gone for 3 years. And for the love of God, one match he played a recorder to try to lure a sock puppet away from hitting somebody. He did that, and now look where he is now. I don't plan on derailing this character anytime soon away from the title, just because this character to me is just so fabulous, and I love how the announcers keep on painting the picture that the weight of a nation is on his shoulders, and he will do anything he can and by any means possible to keep this, to be the representative of his nation and be prideful of all of the people that he believes he carries. There's just something about that, and especially on a heel who will go by any means necessary to do that. It's great. I can't imagine, you could say they tried doing this with Rusev, but that's not to the point of Jinder. Okay. Jinder was the incredible, just out of the blue, where the hell did this come from? Okay. How the hell did this happen? and now it's being built up, and the character is well established. Was it a mistake to have him win? I mean, is it bad that Nakamura lost? Absolutely not, because he had to fight through the minions. He's still strong. He hasn't been brought down a peg at all. But as far as the match goes, it felt a little sloppy in the beginning, I guess. And it kind of seems to be the MO with Nakamura's matches.
I was going to say, because he's kind of a dude where I notice when he gets talked about on our Facebook group, or if I see people having conversations on Twitter, it's either some people are super full bore on him, or a lot of people are just like, what? I don't get it with this dude. And I think the charisma's there. I think that he does enough to make himself stand out and be different from your average WWE guy, which I think is a good thing, because we don't want everyone, looking the same, doing the same wrestling moves, doing the same, taunts. Like, you definitely want, someone to stand out and be different. But I think that for some reason with him, and I don't know if it's another case of someone gets so hyped up on the internet that when you finally see him, you feel underwhelmed because of how much hype people place around it. But there are times, and, there was a lot of criticism a couple of weeks ago when he dumped John Cena on his head, and there was, kind of like, oh boy, I don't know about this one with him. And if you think about this time last year, they were trying to do this with Finn, where they were going to kind of rush the title onto him, and then the injury happened. And I was kind of wondering if they were going to do the same with Nakamura. Now, granted, he had more time on the roster, whereas Finn just had that first pay-per-view match, and boom, they were ready to, strap a rocket to it and see how it went right around the time of their very, very beginning of the brand split. But that what you just said about Shinsuke is something I hear a lot, where some sloppiness, and people are kind of, I guess if you've been watching him in Japan for many, many years, it's not a huge surprise. But I thought the John Cena match a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you got a chance to see it or not, but I thought that was a big test for him of, can he kind of take this act beyond where it is now with top tier talent? And when things went pretty well with Cena, I was like, okay, we're good. But there may have been just some miscommunication tonight with Jinder. I don't know. I didn't think it was, it wasn't the level of the match that he had with Baron Corbin, which we both thought was really, really disappointing. Oof. But I get the sloppiness criticism that you just said. I hear it a lot.
But at the same time, with this match, but with Jinder and Nakamura, is the difference between the Cena Nakamura match is you pretty much knew Cena was guiding the match. Okay, God, how wouldn't we know? We could probably hear it. But when it comes to this match with Jinder and Nakamura, I kind of wonder about the communication in this match, because let's face facts here. Jinder is in a position that he does not have a lot of experience in. And I'm not talking about being in championship matches, but I'm talking about guiding and calling the match, going from segment to segment, spot to spot. And Nakamura, for that matter, communication problems maybe, or some timing issues, so it's kind of an odd, I don't want to say it's an odd match to watch, because it was kind of a paint by numbers WWE chicken shit heel wins match. But it's kind of interesting to watch and kind of see it through those lenses. Someone who is really new to the position and someone who has a difficult time describing in the position. I definitely see room for improvement with both. But when it comes to Nakamura in general, again, this should not drop him down by any stretch. But it's also incredibly fortunate that Jinder as a champion is on SmackDown with the roster that it has.
Sure.
Because with there being a Randy Orton in his waning years, with a John Cena absolutely in his waning years, and those two names that I just mentioned are probably their biggest names established on this roster. And so you can totally believe him, Jinder, winning over anybody on this roster right now. AJ Styles is the test. AJ Styles would be the one, that could possibly put that all to rest and probably take the strap off of Jinder. But I don't see that happening for a very long time. just because they want to keep this train rolling with Jinder. The only other way that I can think of is him actually losing in a multi-man match to keep him protected. That can absolutely happen. And that I can see happening sooner rather than him losing clean one-on-one. But it's very fortunate that he's in this roster position. I cannot imagine him being a champion and you have the likes of, a Finn Balor or, everyone who's in the main event right now, that closed out the show. I cannot imagine him going over Samoa Joe or, Braun or Roman Reigns for that matter. I can't see him going over Seth Rollins for that matter.
So it's to his benefit that he's on SmackDown, you think?
It's to his incredible benefit that he's on this roster, and he is now the main. Him and AJ Styles are the main characters of that show. Yes, John Cena is back and everything, but he's not the focal point.
And Cena's a free agent now. Actually, Cena might be showing up on Raw tomorrow because now he's a free agent, so he's not SmackDown exclusive anymore. So
right, he's just a cameo character. He's a guest star. Who'd have thunk that?
And it's interesting you mentioned Styles because they are thinking. Styles has been saying this publicly that they want to do Styles Nakamura at WrestleMania. Next year to play off the Japan history that those two guys have had. I definitely want to talk about Styles and Owens because I loved Shane McMahon tonight, but I have to because Bronx brought it up in the chat. By the way, Paul Nemmer, owner, webmaster of Wrestleview, is joining us in the chat.
That's right, guys. Suck it in. The boss is here.
The boss is here, so watch your mouth. No, he never shows up for these things, so it's funny that he's tuning in. I have to ask your opinion or your thoughts or whatever on the Rusev Randy Orton thing, because we had kind of I wouldn't say the Corbin loss to Cena was like a quick squash because they actually had a full-fledged match, but what was worse to you tonight? Rusev losing in 10 seconds, maybe less, to Randy Orton, or Corbin cashing in on Tuesday, unsuccessfully doing so, and then losing to Cena a couple days later at SummerSlam? What was worse? Or was there any worse? Am I getting too snarky?
That's the thing. It's the way that the matches themselves were built in the past 2 or 3 weeks. I don't see there being anything wrong with the losses. Unless, again, you haven't been watching the television shows and you're only looking the stats of the match and you go, oh, okay, Rusev lost in 15 seconds. That means he's in the tank. No, not at all. He basically touted that no one can beat me, and out comes Randy Orton, and he RKO out of nowhere wins. That's what happens. Okay, and at the same time, Rusev, tried to pop him before the match began, and so that's what happens. I mean, are we expecting this program to end immediately? Absolutely not. I see them actually having another match on SmackDown, and it'll actually go a good 4 or 5 minutes. I've got no problem with how that loss went. The Cena-Corbin match where Corbin, he failed on the cash-in and then loses in a very substantial, I'm going to say, I think 6 to 8 minute match with Cena. That told the story also about how Corbin, just like Rusev, is a big talker, but just picks the wrong times and the wrong places to do certain things. He picked the wrong time to cash in, and he also picked the wrong time to go to the well once again and do his running around the corner clothesline spot, and he got caught. And that's the typical WWE match. So I don't, and you can also play off of that Baron Corbin is a guy who's only been in the show for about a year, little over a year, and he's going up against the consummate pro that is Cena. So there's I don't see any bad sides or good sides with any of those matches. They told the stories brilliantly. And by no stretch does that mean, that Baron can still be in chase for a title or Rusev should be pushed up for. No, they're just building them is all they're doing. And also, it's kind of interesting to kind of look now at what Cena and Orton have become when it comes to their places on rosters now.
Sure.
2 years ago, Randy Orton was champion. He became champion at WrestleMania in the weird National Geographic documentary on the mat that they had against him and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And Cena, by God, What is it? He hasn't been champion in a while, and also he just had a wedding proposal at WrestleMania. That's what he's known for recently. Okay, it's amazing to see that these two guys that traded off the titles 5-6 years ago, back and forth, hot potato, constantly, are now in the cameo positions that they're in, and it's something that it's really interesting to pay attention to. And you should never have in your mind that, oh, Orton won in 10 seconds, that's a squash. Oh, Cena beat the new guy in 7 minutes, that's a squash. There's no squashing.
But that's how wrestling fans think, though. They see instinctually someone that, like in Baron's situation, they give him a Money in the Bank briefcase. By no means did that mean he was going to cash in and become champion, because they showed with prior people. Which interesting that the two people that wrestled tonight, Cena and Corbin, were two of the three people that cashed in unsuccessfully, the other being Damian Sandow, which I mean, at the time I was like, well, maybe this will, and obviously it just, I think that might be the concern, Doug, is that when they did it with Sandow, if you're going to do it, have it, kind of maybe lead into something, like use that frustration to then channel success down the line. And that led to nothing with him. And that's where I thought, to me, I thought the Corbin losing to Cena isn't bad, but losing your briefcase the same week you lose, it's like, what are they like? What are we doing with this guy now? Like, are they just done with him, or are we just? They're definitely cooling down on him. I don't think they're done with him, but I don't think Rusev losing to Orton in like 10 seconds really means anything, because he's been doing this chicken shit stuff for a while now in SmackDown, and being frustrated that he's not getting opportunities that he thinks he should get rather, but the Corbin one, I was not that I was, it was just a weird week for him to cash in and then lose at SummerSlam. It's just weird. It's a definite character intent right there that they're portraying right now. So I thought that was interesting tonight that because I figured with Cena being Mr. Free Agent, it doesn't really matter who he loses to now, because he's already done everything you can do. So, or maybe there is still some value in beating John, like the way Nakamura did. So maybe they thought, we're not going to do that with Corbin right away. It's too early. But what a week that character underwent, though, of cashing in Tuesday and then losing to Cena, and it's just like, wow, okay. So that's the intent. There was definite intent there, I think. Whether or not that's going to kill them, definitely not Rusev. Rusev's fine.
Oh no, not Rusev at all.
He's
it's
totally
just
good.
it could be a way of looking at bringing Corbin down a rung, maybe. The only thing is, okay, so you put it in your mind that Corbin's got the briefcase, okay, and suddenly everyone thinks that, okay, he's going to be the champion. Oh, just keep that in your mind that, okay, he's going to be the champion. When do you plan on doing this?
Exactly.
Okay. When do you plan on doing this? Are you doing this, and put yourself, heaven forbid, we're trying to ask people on the internet who complain about everything, like complain about how the sky is blue and the grass is green.
Bad idea.
Okay, so you're saying that Corbin is going to cash in this case and he's going to be a champion. Okay. When are you going to do this? Are you doing this while the Jinder train is rolling full speed ahead?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Are you going to do this in the middle of a really impactful one-on-one program involving Jinder and, build? And again, when I say building up a program, I'm talking about a 3-month-long storyline between him and, say, for example, an AJ Styles, who has, tries to bump up to get his title back. Do you do this in a random episode of television, But the problem with it again is, and I bring it up again with Jinder and the fortunate spot that he is on this roster, Corbin winning the briefcase and taking it off Jinder or anyone else on this roster doesn't have just that magnificent appeal that it does any other time that the case has been cashed in.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. So many times where it's cashed in on a John Cena, on a Randy Orton, on it go, all the way down the line of every single time it's been cashed in, on the night that the cash was, the suitcase was won on, with Ambrose or with Kane for that matter. Mm-hmm. So the cashing in of the case and it being successful has got to be at a very palpable, believable moment. Okay. it can't be on something as tepid as cashing it in on Jinder and he wins the title. That knocks down the importance of that briefcase.
Sure.
Okay. If you understand what I'm getting at.
No, totally makes sense.
Okay. I mean, if he was to cash this in on Raw, absolutely. Okay. But there aren't enough built up enough characters or a viable enough roster on SmackDown to justify the importance of this briefcase. So go ahead and frown all you want that this guy, had a really horrible week. We've all had horrible weeks. Okay. I just had a horrible week at the beach. Okay.
Not as bad as Baron, but yeah.
No, not as bad as Baron. Not as bad as him.
He's got new music though, so I guess that he's got that going for him. But
he's got new music. He's got his third new entrance. He's got no more spotlights to walk under to be in time for.
No more fancy Triple H spotlights that he used to have.
Yeah, no more fancy spotlights. I mean, he's getting the Waybera routine right now. Just hope that he doesn't get another new theme in the next 2 weeks.
Watch out. Watch out for that. I loved Shane McMahon tonight. He was awesome as a referee. He kept doing he was almost acting like a wrestling fan watching a wrestling match live, except he happened to be inside the ring as the referee. So he would, every time like a big like slap or an elbow would happen, he'd be like, oh, and he was just like sitting, like his arms were always up and he was reacting, and it was very it was good. I loved, and then I loved the dynamic they introduced that with AJ arguing with Shane and Kevin also arguing with Shane, where there wasn't like because AJ is kind of slowly morphed into babyface AJ in the last couple months, but I liked because less than 4 or 5 months ago, AJ was putting Shane's head through a limo or like through a window. It's like, it's not that much of a babyface yet. It just kind of happened because he kept beating Kevin Owens. But I thought Shane was really good tonight with like I wouldn't call them distractions, but he would 2 referee bumps and then they would get pissed off at him. And so I thought they did really good with Shane. That was a good call because I think Owens and Styles have really good chemistry.
Yeah, Owens and Styles do really have some good chemistry, and it was really, really good also to have someone like Shane there in the middle to kind of magnify the importance of the match.
Sure.
And it was great how the storytelling of the match just progressed, where it was all centering on the contact with Shane was what this match was all about, was who's Shane going to turn on? Who is he going to prevent from winning this? And who's going to provoke him the most? That's what the whole match centered around. And it was great to see it build up from inadvertent stuff to flat out then to mistake shots, and then to flat out intentional, and also to see Shane, you thought he would miss the foot on the ropes, but he didn't. And, Kevin going bonkers, and then Shane does the roll up. And no, what was really good too was those 2 shoves that both AJ and Kevin gave. It was great to see Shane then with the schoolboy roll up do quick 3s on both of them.
Oh yes, that was a good call. I like that.
Okay. That was a really, really good call. But no, that was a very, very good program to do. And I hope that's the resolution. Because
they kind of have to move on.
We need to move on.
Yeah.
We need to move on with those 2.
Usually this is the move on show, but I don't know. Depends.
I really don't know either. And I don't know exactly what you'll do. I mean, I can definitely see AJ going the route of Cena and doing his open challenge stuff.
Possible.
I can definitely see that. Owens, who knows?
Maybe pick a fight with Jinder or something, but that's going to be Nakamura's territory for a while, so
I see him actually having shouting matches with Shane.
Well, it feels like they're building towards something with Shane. Maybe, I don't know if it would be a match, but it definitely feels like they're going to, because Shane and AJ was great at WrestleMania. So Shane can still, he can still do it. He can still go. I really also liked the Raw tag match, Sheamus Cesaro against Dean Ambrose.
That was so fun.
This, and I have to say
so
too,
fun.
I have spent maybe the better part of the last year with you on these podcasts talking about just how boring Dean Ambrose is as a character, and there's just, there's no direction with him, and why is he on my television? I don't give a shit about anything he does. And then to do a callback to what, 4 years ago, to the Shield thing with Seth turning on him, and then him going like, nah, I don't really trust this dude. Like, why should I? And then slowly building that. over the last couple weeks on television. I thought they did that really, really, really well. And then, continuing to, they both tried to do the Shield, knock the fist together, and they both like missed by like a couple inches. It's like, oh, that's a bummer. I'm sure they wanted that one to redo, but man, and there was that moment halfway through where the smarky Brooklyn crowd got out a beach ball and I saw it too, because at first I kept hearing these loud. I'm like, why are they giving loud reactions to Sheamus doing a headlock on Seth Rollins? And then I look at the crowd and I see the bouncy beach ball. I loved Cesaro just going, fuck this, and running out,
God, yes,
grabbing it. I mean, the best thing a heel could do. Like, he just took it to, like, and you could see Sheamus was snickering. He's like, it was hilarious just to see him run out. I was like, what's he? Oh, beach ball. And that was wonderful. So
yeah, I saw the beach ball going around, and of course in my mind, I'm like, come on, guys. Are we really doing this during this match? You should have done this during, a match that you really... If you wanted to do this during a match, you do it during the shark cage match. If you wanted to do the beach ball, you do it during a women's match, okay? Why are we uncorking this now? You just gave a humongous pop for the reuniting of 66% of the Shield. Why are you doing this? And it was just... it wasn't just so great that... Cesaro ran out into the crowd, grabbed that beach ball, and ripped it to shreds. That was not the best part. The best part was Corey Graves while he was doing that and signifying, I saw it going out there. Cesaro just ripped up a beach ball that the WWE Universe and curse the WWE Universe. They are not showing the champions respect, and oh boy, is Rollins going to get it.
Yep, and then he's going to take it out
Universe,
on Rollins.
You have yourself to blame for the beating that Rollins is going to get. That was... absolute perfect ad-libbing,
dude.
Or by God, if the words were piped in to him, well done,
Graves. Okay. And yeah, I would be curious to find out if he's having that stuff pumped into him, because he is so good on commentary.
Graves is magnificent.
When he was joking about Enzo Amore pandering to the Brooklyn crowd because of the gimmick, he goes, he's not even from New York. He's from New Jersey. This is ridiculous. And he's like, Big Cass is the one that's actually from New York. And just like little subtle jabs that he takes at Enzo on, and he's really good. So, I mean, I would, not that it would disappoint me if I found out that line you just said was fed to him, but holy shit, is he good. He's probably one of the best guys on commentary right now in that company. And it's just, so good.
Him and Cole have really good chemistry.
Really good chemistry.
He is making Cole look like a great play-by-play guy right now. I mean, really is. Ever since the dawn of Braun Strowman, these two guys have been phenomenal.
I think he calms down Michael Cole, because Cole's used to just shouting things and vintage, and he just kind of like goes like, well, Michael, it's 2017. We don't have to shout things anymore.
Well, the other thing too is he's kind of dumbed Cole down when it comes to his I want to say his repetitions. Cole is in. I think the biggest complaint that everyone has had about Michael Cole is that he's incredibly repetitious when it comes to telling the story of why a match is happening.
Sure.
Or he also talks about the stuff that's not even happening pertaining to the match that he's watching. Like he'll bring up the main event that's coming up later, or they'll diverge into some kind of story that has nothing to do with what's happening in the ring. Ever since, and I really take it as the pushing of Strowman, these two guys together, Cole and Graves, have great chemistry together calling matches now, because it seems that Graves makes sure that Cole, doesn't try to take too many sips of the same Kool-Aid. Try some different flavors during this match.
Sure.
Don't keep drinking the same one. What Booker just says words.
Well, yeah, Booker just shouts words. I don't even know what he's saying. It's weird too, because that was supposed to be Otunga. And they've basically they've just kept Otunga on these kickoff shows. So I don't know if that's ever going to go to Otunga, if they're just going to stick with that. Not that I think like Booker sucks or anything, but Booker just he'll just shout something, and that's his hot take.
Booker's problem is that he's got a thought in his head, but his mouth isn't quick enough to let it out. And by the time he wants to say what his mind had in mind, something else has happened.
Yeah, and then he always says that last word. He'll like, Doug's a really good commentator. I'd say he just likes to shout it for some reason. I don't know why. He just That's what he does. That's what Booker does. Keeps it entertaining.
Yeah, the new drinking game is like every time you hear Booker go, "Oh man,
oh boy, shucky ducky quack quack." Were you surprised? I was expecting full blown Bayley heel turn tonight. I thought she was going to cost Sasha the match because they did this little thing. I don't know if you caught it. Backstage, Sasha was hugging Bayley. She was walking and then hugged her, and they did this little zoom in on Bayley's face, and Bayley had this like "fuck you, bitch" kind of look on her face. I was like, oh boy, because like there was this moment where when she was put on camera, Brooklyn booed the shit out of Bayley, and they did that a couple weeks ago in Toronto, and the crowd has turned on Bayley, man.
They look at her as like the new Roman.
A little bit.
I think
it's possible, and I think they should have fun with it. I think I know Mike Tedesco was joking. He thought the injury was a work, that they were just that would be a way to maybe kind of mess with the Bayley reactions that she's starting to get. You could see it. Did you see the promo 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago in Toronto, where she was talking about her recovery, and like the crowd just started destroying her, and she's like,
"Oh yeah." She's
like, "Well, I guess some people care because I got some tweets, some nice tweets, and people are just like, boo, even more when she mentioned the nice tweets." She's like, "Well, I guess some people don't want to see me get better, but I don't know. I thought there was going to be Bayley runs down, pretends like she's there for Sasha, and then like trips her up or does something, mean, because that was supposed to be her title shot. God damn it. And I don't know.
Right.
Not that I didn't get mad that they didn't do that. Was a little surprised they did go with Sasha though, because I'm just kind of like, I feel like I've seen the Sasha Banks, title run thing from her so many times now because of I think the feud with Charlotte just ruined Sasha Banks for me. I don't know, man.
Because she was just on TV all the time.
Constantly. And
she was overexposed. She was overexposed.
Overexposed, and I had no idea why I should care about her. Just like she's a boss that wears sunglasses to the ring, and okay. Like that was she was the total opposite of that in NXT. And on the main roster it's just some chick that wears sunglasses and I am the boss, everybody. I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess we'll just go with that. I'll take your word for it." But I don't know.
I know where to rent a really good SUV for my entrance.
That too.
That's all I can. You mentioned people booing Bayley and kind of like what you would anticipate or what you would like to see as a Bayley turn. And don't get me wrong. I mean, that sounds great.
Maybe
that kind of sounds really fun to me. But I am anticipating the worst. And the worst that's going to happen is, and I put this on our Facebook page as we were predicting what who was going to win the main event. I think it was in the poll that Frank put there for who would win the main event. And I basically spontaneously booked WrestleMania, and I booked Bayley Sasha for the title. And the reason I do that is they're going to go against each other, but it's going to be a damn honor match.
Oh.
It's going to be one of those stupid, "You're good. No, you're good, but we're best friends. Oh, we handshake. I respect you." And oh my God, gag me.
Well, there's one promotion that does that well, and that's Ring of Honor. And I just don't see why you should do that in the WWE. That's kind of Ring of Honor's thing. So why I know that, I know.
But why the hell not?
Because I guess
why the hell not?
Yeah, I know. Stinks. I'm not a fan of that.
No, it stinks. And that's what I am anticipating. The worst to happen, but oh well, I would love to see a Bayley heel turn. That just sounds great. That sounds great to where, Sasha has a match, she has a rematch, and Bayley accidentally trips her up and she's trying to plead her case, and Sasha blah blah blah. Suddenly Bayley rips off the sling and starts whipping her with it. There you go.
And I know
that's great.
And I see what you're saying too, because it's kind of hard for someone who has wacky inflatable men to be a heel, but could she be like the heel that doesn't really think she's a heel still and come out and do that? I know
Can you imagine her going down the ramp and giving kids who don't want hugs from her hugs?
That would be fun. I would like that.
Seriously.
That would be good.
She has got to play that off. Can you imagine a heel but still thinks that she's loved?
Yeah, like what's wrong? What did I do?
That sounds phenomenal.
It's like, what did I do wrong? I don't understand why everyone's hating me.
I don't get it. I'm the champion. I fight for you guys. Hugs for everybody.
Jamel in the chat says he doesn't think Bayley has it in her to be a heel, but I don't think she needs to be traditional badass heel. She could just be oblivious heel, because that's
oblivious heel. Yes,
oblivious heel would be kind of fun. I would enjoy that. You can
absolutely do that.
Don't have to, but it's there.
Right.
I vote we do some hot takes for the rest of this show. What do you think? Does that sound good to you?
Okay, cue up the really awesome music.
Yeah, you get to hear it this time.
The awesome music?
I do. I'm playing it. You probably can't hear it very well.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's see. What else did we not talk about yet? Oh,
I never want to see Enzo in his boxers ever again.
Did you like him sneaking out of the shark cage with
I
the
do
oil?
like the oiling up.
You did like that?
I do like that, but it's kind of stupid where you see him dangling there and Cass has got a look on his face like, dude, what are you doing?
Nice. I didn't totally. Yeah. So he was fun, but yeah, the match kind of stunk between Big Show and Cass. What do you expect though? They're like two giant dudes. Like what are you expecting out of that? At least they had like Big Show's hand hurt, so they had to use. I mean, to me that helped it, but obviously Brooklyn started a boring chant, so
right,
it wasn't too good. Were you surprised by? I have to tell you, I loved Natalya winning and not doing the over the top celebration, doing it like, yeah, I knew I was gonna win. Give me my fucking title. I loved that. I mean, I'm usually pretty critical of her, but I thought that was good.
It's amazing that, you know, when she's a heel, she can be a pretty decent heel.
Yeah.
You know, she can be a decent heel, and it's good that it's playing off of the character of Naomi, where, you know, it was really fun to see her calling the belt a toy, you know, and what she turned it into, toy, yeah. Because, you know, everyone made that same argument when Cena was a champion. You know, it was kind of fun to see that, and to see Natalya be smug and everything. I can handle smug Natalya.
She's better because I mean, let's be honest, she's stunk for the better part of the last 5-6 years. I mean, just nothing good coming out of that camp. And all of a sudden, like, she's just, I don't know, man. It works. I like what she's doing right now. It's surprising me, actually. I don't know what's going on, but I'm all about it. So I'll keep doing it.
Does that mean you can fuck me now, Adam?
Tyson. We have some hot takes in the chat. Brian Farmer says Brock Lesnar is still boring. Brian Farmer hates anything involving Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar could like F5 Godzilla, and Brian Farmer would be like, well, I didn't like how Godzilla's tail touched that other building. And Brian Farmer just hates everything about Brock Lesnar. I'll never understand it. He has another hot take. Big Show needs one more WrestleMania win. I guess. I don't know what that does for him though.
Why?
Like as in retire with a WrestleMania win? Like this would be the last year? Like that kind of thing, maybe? Because they were trying to do the Shaq thing and that completely fell apart on them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be going away. I mean, and you want him to go out with a bang.
That's what.
Yes, I would want it to be at WrestleMania.
He said, yeah, that's what he wants. He wants WrestleMania.
Well, as long as he announces that it is a retirement match.
Then I'd be fine with that. That'd be okay.
Yeah.
CJ Bowman says Jinder should be champion until 2018. I will give that a thumbs up.
Sure.
Frank says Strowman Lesnar won't happen at No Mercy. How dare you, Frank? Don't crush my dreams before they even happen. I like to book myself into corners, and then we're going to come on here and do a podcast about how stupid the WWE is if they don't book that match for No Mercy.
Yeah, everything that does not happen the way that I want it is stupid, and it doesn't matter. You know, and if I don't agree with you, then you're stupid.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
Goosey says they need to
debate programs.
Welcome to debate programs. Goosey says Demon Finn as a full-time act. No.
Lord, no. Absolutely not. Stop it.
I think it's fine to pull it out for big pay-per-view matches, but if he was gonna, so I think the stupid grunting thing that he did tonight, we didn't even talk about that match, which should tell you what I thought about it.
Yeah, there's a reason we didn't talk about that match, guys.
Wasn't a big fan of the match. I liked the dynamic of the scary Bray Wyatt versus scary Finn stuff, but when he was like grunting like a dog with rabies, that fucking stinks. It's not good. It's cheesy. He got out of the ring after he won, and he was going like, "Rrr." It's like, what? No, stop. Let's, like, pro wrestling's already retarded, and you just like made it twice as retarded. Sorry, I probably shouldn't use that R word. Stupid. People
but
are
no,
get
like
offended.
no, I like how first we call him the Fonz. He has to
he's
be
the
wearing the
Fonz.
leather jacket on TV. Okay, that's number one. And number two, I have always called Finn Balor like the liturgical dancer of the WWE, because that's all he does. That's the only thing I see that's really interesting about him, is that his body moves very oddly during his entrance. You know, and he seems to cater to the crowd that way. And man, the crowd loves to pop when they show off his cock on the front of that camera when he's posing right there in the front of the ropes. And
They like his cock.
I don't
like that.
get this guy. Okay, I just don't get it. His matches are boring.
You think Finn's
Okay,
matches are
they
boring?
are.
Well, I think because he blows through so much stuff.
He blows through everything. It's boring. It is. It's incredibly boring. I don't see anything
I don't think
special
he's boring.
about him.
I don't think he's boring. Well, he definitely so he has a connection with the audience. So you can't pretend like that's not happening. Because like if he walked out there,
So
Doug,
so the guy looks awesome twice out of the year because he looks really neat as a demon. What else is he doing?
well, I'm just saying if he walked out there and he put his arms up and the crowd didn't do anything, you would have a valid point. So there's
he had matches to where the crowd actually reacted to shit he was doing.
Well, I'm just saying I'm not saying he's not blowing me away either by any means, but there's interest from the audience in his character. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the full-time demon stuff. No thanks.
What happened to the chanting for Brock and Balor? What happened there?
Oh, I don't know. Well, yeah. Again, why isn't he going after Brock? Like, he didn't really lose his title. He just kind of, he should be going after Brock.
What happened? No, I'm too busy wanting to be a demon.
He wants to get blood thrown on him by Bray Wyatt. We have a ton of hot takes, Doug. Usually this never happens when we say hot takes, like everyone gets quiet. So I'm going to blast through some of these. El Rocco says Asuka's match last night was her only good match. I didn't see it. Did you see it?
No, I haven't watched any of NXT. So.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet. CJ Bowman says Finn is a vanilla midget and needs a real gimmick. So he would be in the camp with you. Torkman said SmackDown needs Jinder. Oh yeah, he agreed with CJ's earlier point that Jinder should stay champion until 2018.
Yes.
Let's see.
I take the strap off of him at Royal Rumble. Maybe going into WrestleMania is when he loses the strap.
The Awesome Sauce videos and such says favorite spot of the night was Cesaro destroying the beach ball. Jamel says Strowman versus Reigns should happen next at Hell in a Cell, the first match in years where the stip fits the feud. Brian Farmer says, can we get Maury to do a live paternity test with Angle and Jason Jordan? I think that's eventually at some point going to be the whole gimmick, is that he's not really a son, but it was just using him to get some elevation, which hasn't quite happened
does that not annihilate Jason Jordan?
It could, but we'll see how it goes.
Wow.
Ashley is my name. UK thinks Rusev got buried tonight, Douglas.
No.
Frank says Cena and Reigns won't get world title matches until 2018. That's a genuine possibility. I do
not see Cena having a title match anytime soon.
Probably not.
And Reigns, no, not at all for that matter. I booked Cena Reigns for WrestleMania.
That's right, you did.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And I'm sticking to my guns on that one.
You're sticking to them there.
Yes.
Shifty.
I got your hot take. I'm sorry.
No, go for it. You've got a hot take.
I've got my hot take right now. Why in the hell there was the little 6-man tag involving Jason Jordan and the Hardys versus the Miz Taraj? Why in the hell weren't there any Pork Chop Jones chants when Jason Jordan was in the ring?
I don't understand what a Pork Chop Jones.
My God, if you have not seen them, they released a new batch of Southpaw Regional Wrestling videos.
Oh, I didn't see it. I haven't watched the second.
Oh my God, Adam, you are missing out.
That reference went over my head because I knew it was out. I just haven't had any time to watch any wrestling except for tonight. So I will definitely check that out.
Rhino is comedic gold. Okay.
I'm going to get very angry tweets for not understanding that reference, I think.
Dear God, I've been watching Southpaw Regional Wrestling on a loop ever since they were put out. Oh, God.
It gets rave reviews every time it comes on, so it's good stuff.
And I kind of got in a tizzy over some people about how some people are actually angry about them.
Oh, yeah, I know who got angry about it. He's just a troll on Twitter. That's what he does. Let's see what else. Shifty Gizm said there was 4 ooh-ahs from Roman Reigns in one match. Is 3 too many for him. There was 4 of them tonight, though. Ooh, ah. Which is great. You ever notice the crowd boos? And they go from booing, boo, ah. They just, like, they can't help it. They have to do it with him, but they want to go back to booing him.
Every single time he does that, I'm always reminded about how cavernous the inside of his mouth is.
You can see quite a bit of the inside of his mouth.
They make sure the lighting is just perfect so you can see the inside lining of his cheek.
I haven't watched as close. I mean, I got to watch more closely. Like, you can, there's a lot of details there, Douglas.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm staring at. I can't help it.
The Mace thing.
I'm an analyst. What do you think?
Mice says that Braun is WWE Champion inside of 6 months. Does he mean Universal? Probably Universal Champion. I 100% agree with that one.
Yes.
Bronxy says, hot take. Tomorrow night, Bray picks a new guy to feud with for 30 days for zero reason. It's possible.
Absolutely.
I know. People are not too happy with the Finn feud, I think.
Well, that's what Bray does. He just goes like, well, I just don't like this guy this time. I can see him doing a feud with Jason Jordan for no reason whatsoever.
It's possible. Goosey says, Titus Worldwide does nothing for me. I think it helps the people. Because I think on the last podcast, you were saying you were kind of interested in Titus Worldwide, where it could kind of.
I kind of like it.
Because there's a manager aspect of it.
But it's a nice little side story, a nice little sideshow for Raw. You know, it's not supposed to be something big or major or anything like that. We're not expecting that to eat into any kind of segment time for more important storylines, but it's a nice little sideshow. It's turned into a way better sideshow than what I thought Goldust R-Truth was going to be.
Well, yeah, that didn't go too well.
My Lord.
I just snickered because Bronx's hot take, which I guess we'll close with his hot take. He says, anyone in the crowd who says one fall during the announcement should be hung in front of their children.
No, I actually like that.
I don't like it. And the other thing I do not like is when there was a 2 count during pinfall attempts and they would go too sweet. I was like, oh, yuck.
Yeah, now that's stupid.
Yeah, that was, no thank you. Yeah. I didn't like that.
There's only,
good job,
that
Bronx.
Brooklyn crowd, they can take their beach ball and go fuck it on a weekend.
It's all Bronx's people right there doing all the. Although it's it's SummerSlam weekend and they're going to go back to Brooklyn next year, so it's just Smarktown, and you have. I mean, think about all the smarkiness that just gathers there. You have NXT on Saturday, you have SummerSlam Sunday, then you do Raw, SmackDown back to back Monday, Tuesday. So it's just 4 days of smarky bastards. I'm not a big fan.
4 days of only one shower and orange clouds of Cheeto dust overtaking the skylines. And dear Lord.
It has kind of turned into WrestleMania weekend, though, a little bit in recent years. So, because they were doing Los Angeles for a couple of years there in a row, and then now they've really expanded it with NXT. By the way,
do they have one more year on schedule with Brooklyn? Yeah, or is this their last year?
No, they already scheduled it for next year. They already announced it. Oh. It's coming back. Yeah. Over the weekend, Triple H did an interview, and they asked him who he thought the number 2 promotion was, and he goes, nobody really. Like, he's like, maybe NXT, but that's about it. And I was just waiting for the interview to go, well, God damn it, there's New Japan. And granted, if there is a legitimate number 2, it's 100% New Japan Pro Wrestling. People buy tickets to those shows, Doug. People actually pay money to subscribe to their streaming service. So it's not GFW, TNA, whatever you want to call it. It's, Ring of Honor would be a solid 3, maybe. but there's also, I mean, someone made the point. There was a fucking Progress show, which is an independent promotion that's the one I've been keeping my eye on. That I've actually been paying attention to some stuff. They came to New York and sold like 1,000 tickets, and like Jeff Jarrett's GFW went to Staten Island and barely drew like 200 people. So, I mean, come on. They've got a nice little partnership there going on. They sure do. They sure do. So. Did you want to comment a little bit about, I mean, there's not much else that hasn't already been said, but about the Ric Flair stuff? Cause I know you're in Ric Flair country, and I know I was noticing, and I was kind of diving in on Facebook here and there, but you were very adamant about like, don't go to wrestling news sites when people are talking about Flair. You were very, I don't know if you were angry, but you were very adamant about like get off these wrestling websites. Well, no, I'm very adamant about that, especially when it comes to, well, it's not just because it's Ric Flair, and the reason I'm like that is because there are way more viable news sources that are going to be talking about Ric Flair in the hospital than some ready wrestling page on the internet.
Okay. I mean, for God's sake, the NBC affiliate out of my state of Raleigh had this as one of their major stories Friday. Okay. It was headlining their webpage. You'll see ESPN would talk about it, and you could count TMZ if you wanted to. But no, when it comes to something like that, there are way more viable sources you can go to than I think any wrestling site that would say, Lord knows what.
Thanks, Doug.
To try to get people to look at their page. Okay. That's my thing.
So you wouldn't want to go to Wrestleview?
Well, you can go to Wrestleview because I provide you the links to the actual sources
that
would have the page.
I was reading that. I was like, oh, thanks, Doug. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
No, that's not the point, honey.
I know. You were just saying for the sourcing. Because there was some things people did get wrong. At first they said he had colon surgery, and that was not true. And then there was a report that he had heart surgery, and that wasn't true apparently. So, but apparently he is, as of this weekend on Saturday, there was a report that came out that he's awake. He's communicating. I guess he cut a promo on a nurse, so he's he's resting, and that's good news because I think I would say there was some genuine concern when like Michael Hayes said he went to go visit with him, and he was not looking good, and it went from him complaining about abdominal pains to his fiance to then, oh my God, he has to have surgery, and we're gonna put him in an induced coma, and that's never good. So. And what was weird too is that that 30 for 30 ESPN is doing on him is finally going to air, I think in November. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about that. I was like, oh man, that would be just the worst timing if they, that comes out and culminates. But it made headlines, worldwide. I had people, obviously, because I was around a lot of family and friends when I was on vacation, and they all were like, hey, did you hear about Flair? And so like that definitely got a lot of people's attention. It's always funny too because like people always like are very they're either very coy about if they like wrestling or not, and then when they know you like wrestling, but they'll bring up something that they're like, oh well, I love Flair, but wrestling's stupid. It's like, well, okay, like it's a little, I don't know, it's a little strange. I wore. Well,
it's kind of sad when it's kind of a story like that they see in the actual news is what brings them to you when it comes to professional wrestling. It's kind of sad when kind of the same thing happened when Macho Man unfortunately left us. The same thing happened. Everyone's like, oh man, I remember Macho Man. Hey, Adam, Doug, you remember Macho Man? Yeah, but I don't like professional wrestling.
Yeah, they know everything there is to know, but it's stupid. I had the same thing. I was wearing a Macho Man t-shirt down in the Keys, and I had just a gang of people come out to me like, where'd you get that? Oh, I'm the biggest, but I don't watch today, but that was always the same response I got. But they briefly watched whenever in the 80s. But yeah, I had a lot of people talk to me about the Flair thing, so I wanted to address that a little bit. I feel like there's something else too that I wanted to address, and now it's escaping my mind. So
is it Jim Cornette?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, did you see that? Did you watch it? Do you care?
No, I just kind of read it and just kind of saw that he was in the ring.
I was surprised, but I mean, Dixie Carter's not there anymore, so it's not overly surprising that he's. But he's definitely a dude that goes on his podcast and talks a lot of shit. So
I placed the over/under on WWE references in his next show at 7.5.
Well, I'll tell you this thing, Doug. They are taping. So starting that very Thursday, which was the 17th, they taped from the 17th through today till Tuesday, the 22nd. They are at some point, I think, taping so much television that it's going to take them all the way to the first week of November. That's a lot of taping in advance, man. And the big brouhaha, I don't even know why I just used that word, but that's what I went with.
I like that word.
Brouhaha was that they pulled the title off of Alberto El Patron, formerly Alberto Del Rio, because of the stuff with Paige. Yeah, how come everybody just ignored that he shouted, "She's the one with the coke"? And then they go on. Now, I like the Busted Open guys on Sirius XM. They have Bully Ray sitting on their show now. But they totally glossed over the fact that Del Rio or El Patron, whatever you want to call him, shouted loudly in an airport in Orlando that accused Paige of carrying the cocaine. It's like, are we just going to pretend? And like, they were like, oh, well, that TMZ audio was, whatever. It's like, you can't shout that out loud in public and just pretend like it didn't happen. It was very, very weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it just, they kind of fucked up. I mean, they suspended him. they pulled him off live events, and then they just all of a sudden said, we're going to move on from him. And then they've already crowned a new champion. You can read the spoilers if you want to find out who they went with. But
I'm sure it's a guy that just has a normal name, and there's nothing really, that you can really tell him apart from anyone else if you were at a grocery store.
Well, he was a dude that criticized Patron on a live show, and then they decided to go with him as champion. And then more people left the company. Tyrus left, used to be Brodus Clay in the WWE. And then you have, people returning like Petey Williams, which was so totally random. I thought he was retired from professional wrestling, so he's back.
Yeah.
So now that Jeff is back, they've definitely, people are sneaking in the back door again because of probably him reaching out and stuff. So a lot of things happening in Orlando.
What a wacky place that realm is.
They're doing stuff, man. It definitely has a better vibe than it has in recent years, but I don't know if it's going to mean much at the end of the day. So, no,
not at all.
We'll see where they're still on Pop TV, and that's not a good thing. So, all right. I think that maybe it was Cornette was the only other thing that really was. I don't know if it was like holy shit crazy outside of the Flair stuff, but it was definitely interesting. Yeah. It wasn't something I saw coming with all the shit he's been talking. He just seemed like he was done completely with associating with anything involving wrestling. So we will see how it goes.
He seemed to have been enjoying life a little bit.
Well, yeah, he was doing the
not being as outspoken as he used to be.
Well, he's still outspoken.
I know he still does.
He does the podcast, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at the calendar, Douglas, and if I'm not mistaken, No Mercy is the 24th, which is in like 5 weeks.
We got 5 weeks off?
Is that really the next pay-per-view?
I believe so. I'm actually staring at my calendar right now.
Because we did such a fluster of them for so many weeks in a row, and I according to my calendar, September 24th is No Mercy. So that's quite the break. So maybe, I don't know, do we want to sneak in a podcast in between then, or... I don't know. I guess we'll have to see if anything really crazy happens in between now and then, but that's quite the break. We'll see.
Yeah, I know. How will everyone be able to handle us?
We already were gone for 3. We were just gone for 3, so.
I mean, dear God, what happened to me in 3 weeks' time? By God, I'm scared about what'll happen in 5 weeks' time.
They're taking they're spread. I guess there was just that big jolt of shows in July, so they just they went full bore in the summer, and now they're gonna kind of relax as the fall. Oh, the other thing I want to talk to you about, which probably you don't care about, but I'm glad I remembered.
God, my neck got hurt.
Oh, did I jolt you back? Are you going to be watching and or paying for, or maybe streaming for free, the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight next Saturday?
Oh, that thing.
That thing. Do you have any interest whatsoever in it? Because I know you're not a big combat sports guy, but this is kind of transcending mainstream a little bit, just because boxing tends to do that more than mixed martial arts. I mean, there'll be big, UFC fights. And Conor's been kind of the guy that's brought in the casual audience in the last couple of years, outside of like a Ronda Rousey, but and maybe even a Brock Lesnar. But
so, what's the ticket price on this thing?
It's $100 on pay-per-view, but
no shit.
I'm sure a lot of people are gonna stream it for free, or there's there's a multitude of ways.
That, or you're going to pop into your local bar and pay the $10 cover just so
I don't know.
Stand in standing room only bar.
But I always read, and maybe someone listening can correct me if I'm wrong, but don't bars lose a ton of money when they do that, because they have to have it on multiple screens, and
not necessarily, because they can have it maybe 1 or 2 boxes hooked up to their plethora of TVs.
That's very true.
Have to have a hub.
I just thought the more you split that, the more it made it worse. But
no, not at all.
Okay.
If anything, they may lose money when it comes to people who forget to pay their bar tab. Because I remember, like, the last time there was a mega fight like this was Mayweather Pacquiao.
Yes.
And I remember I went to a bar in Charlotte to watch this, and oh God, was that the worst decision I ever made. Yeah. Not just because of the fight and everything. I'm not talking about that. It's just the bar that I went to, it ended up, they were not counting heads. And so it was like a $5 cover to get in.
I see.
But God, it felt like standing room only. You couldn't sit anywhere.
Yeah.
The entire place was packed. I mean, and we're talking 2 floors of a bar, completely packed. If you were going to get a drink, you better not start a cover. I mean, not start a tab. You might as well just buy your drinks then, or else you're going to be waiting until, Christmas to pay your tab. So I'm just one of those, like, God, these fights, I don't know where I would go to watch it. and I sure as hell am not going to pay for it, and I'm not really going to try to find a pirated stream or anything like that. That's not worth my time.
Yeah, I'm well I'm getting together with a bunch of people, so it's going to be cheap, but that's kind of what I suggest people do is just, get together with a bunch of people. Also, the last time Mayweather fought 2 years ago against Pacquiao, for some reason, people just decided to buy it like right before the main event started. And when that happened, they decided to like delay the main event by like 45 minutes to an hour.
That's right.
And because there was this mad rush to like order it. So if you are going to order it, I suggest doing it as early as you possibly can, because that would, not that you'll get blocked out if you go late, but there could be that problem again where they'll delay it, because the prelim, it's a complete 100% boxing card. So anybody that's like, the show is intriguing to me, Doug, because it's going to be bringing in a lot of mixed martial arts fans that probably don't pay attention to boxing very much. So I think that, and it's supposed to set the record. It's going to beat the record, supposedly, that Mayweather Pacquiao set. The gate's going to be huge. It's in Vegas. Showtime has been doing some excellent mini documentaries following both guys. Obviously, there's been a lot of drama and stuff with those press conferences they did in all the different cities, and then there's been some controversy with Conor sparring with Paulie Malignaggi, and some of the footage that leaked out, and his whole team said that Conor basically fucked him up for 12 rounds, and Paulie said no, that didn't happen. And then they released a little clip of the footage where Conor drops him, and Paulie says no, I was knocked down. And so there's been but it's going to be interesting, because I've been watching the mainstream coverage of it, and there's a lot of people that are talking about Conor McGregor that clearly have never watched him fight, and then there's people that know boxing really well and know Mayweather really well, and they're just not giving Conor a time of day. They're just saying, and not again, I'm not sitting here saying that I think Conor's going to go in there and win, but it is interesting to watch people, like, they know who Conor McGregor is like a person, but you can just tell by what they're saying that they've never watched this dude fight for a second. So
they know him as a character.
They know him as a character, but they don't know him as a fighter at all whatsoever. And I know it's very different sports. He's coming from a sport where you have to know how to box, how to kickbox, how to wrestle, how to go on the ground. He's basically fighting he's fighting a one-dimensional fighter in Floyd Mayweather, who's the best defensive boxer in the entire world. But that's why it's intriguing, because I don't know if you remember, I can't remember what year it was. It was at least 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, maybe more, when Randy Couture fought James Toney in the UFC, where they did the whole boxer versus mixed martial arts guy, and Randy just quickly took him down, and it was a joke. This is where this one's different. It's like a mixed martial arts guy coming into the boxing world and fighting the best defensive boxer of all time. So that's why I'm intrigued by it. Conor's a bigger guy. He's not going to fight like a traditional boxer, so that's why I want to watch it, just to see the mix of the styles. But by no means am I watching this expecting Conor McGregor is going to, win or knock him out or anything like that. It'd be amazing if that happens, but I just kind of want to watch it because it's a spectacle, and it's got my interest. And yeah, I was just.
It sounds to me like 40 minutes of two guys staring at each other. Possible,
and that's kind of what happened for a while with Mayweather and Pacquiao. But I don't know. We'll see. It's, some people really liked Mayweather and Pacquiao. They thought it was a really good defensive fight. And,
don't get me wrong. I did not make that statement in regards to making fun of the Pacquiao Mayweather fight. No, as far as boxing being the closest equivalent, I think, to chess athletically.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It was a good match.
Yeah.
But everyone, I think, is expecting with this McGregor Mayweather fight to be like, oh wow, MMA versus boxing, someone's going to get knocked out. No,
no, it's probably
not at all.
I just can't imagine, I guess because I'm such a big combat sports fan, I'm a big mixed martial arts fan. I will watch boxing if there's something that intrigues me. But it's weird when I see people like, oh, this is stupid. To me, this is going to be nothing like Mayweather and Pacquiao. Conor McGregor is not Manny Pacquiao. It's just not going to be. Who knows? Maybe after a couple rounds, it could turn into that. I don't know, but these dudes are going to go in there, and it's going to be, and now they've dropped the gloves from 10 ounces to 8 ounces. So now Conor originally was saying that he was going to take care of Floyd in 4 rounds, and now he said I'll probably take care of him in 2. And it's just like the shit talking, and it's just fun. It brings a smile to my face. I'm going to get together with a gang of people next Saturday, it's going to be fun. So I was just curious if you were caught up in it or if you're just kind of not so much, because it's going to be all over Facebook, Twitter, news, sport, everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. Yeah. So
I know I'm not going to be able to avoid it, so I might as well just try not to get swept up in the current, but maybe just wade my toes and not let the undertow suck me in.
Pretty much.
I mean, I'm interested in it, but I am not so much to that I'm going to start, analyzing techniques.
Oh, yeah.
Start questioning the validity of a YouTube video or, question how old Mayweather is and can he still hang and stuff.
Sure.
I am just basically, I would like to tune in and then watch it while kind of doing my whole Mystery Science Theater stuff and just kind of make fun of it at the same time. That's kind of what I do.
Are you not entertained?
Like, what are they fighting for?
I would say,
is there something that they're trying to win?
So it's kind of a prize fight, but I guess if I had to simplify it, it's that for a couple years now, there's been some jaw jacking between both of them where Floyd said, mixed martial arts fighters aren't real fighters and there's no way they could hang with a boxer and they would get destroyed. And then Conor would say, well, if Floyd had an actual, so Conor's contention is that if this was a real fight, Doug, he would basically kill Floyd in less than a minute. And I don't doubt him for any second, because Floyd's, while a very good boxer, is not a real fighter. He's just a boxer. So that it's hard for boxing fans to hear that. And the one thing Conor said, he goes, the difference between me and everybody else that's fought Floyd Mayweather is that they were afraid of him because they were simply boxing him. He goes, I can look at this man and I know for a second I can grab him by his neck and I could kill him if I wanted to in less than a minute. So he said, by no means, but he's also, he's understanding that, but then going into the boxing world where there's rules, there's bigger gloves, there's a referee watching little everything. You could have points taken away if you get too dirty. In boxing, if you get knocked out, you're given a 10 count. In the UFC or any other mixed martial arts promotion, if you get knocked out, the opponent has an opportunity to jump on that opponent and continue hitting until the referee decides to stop the fight. So that has me intrigued by it, just for simple shit that they've said back and forth. Not to mention that Floyd's like the best boxer in the history of the sport. If he wins this fight, Doug, he's 50-0. And I mean, he goes down as the best ever. He pretty much is the best ever right now. And it's a weird thing that he's taking a fight with a guy like Conor when he doesn't really have to. He could just, he was retired. So it's like, oh boy, like if Conor does not, I'm not saying he's going to, I'm just saying if he does, man, what does that do to Floyd's legacy? Do they then have to have a rematch if for some reason Conor pulls this thing off? Not to mention, Doug, that Conor's going to be making a little over $100 million for this fight. He never makes that much money for a mixed martial arts fight, so he could retire after this fight is over. Floyd's obviously making way more than that. He's just rich beyond means. But I don't know, man. That whole dynamic to me sells it for me. Maybe not for other people that are listening, but I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited about it. So. As if you couldn't tell by me talking about this.
Well, right now, yeah. I'm not going to poop on your parade, dude. Yeah. No. Just just throw up your streamers and everything and dance with them like Finn Balor did tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
You can go ahead.
I'm sure a lot of wrestling fans are not feeling this fight, but I can't wait. So I just wanted to see. I wanted to check in. See what you think.
No problem. I mean, I don't mind it. I'm interested in it. It's just I'm not with the fervor that you are.
Yes, not to the same degree. Not the same
I
level.
have no problem with the cheeseburger, but you're putting goat cheese and spinach and
I'm putting a lot of different things in it.
A lot of spicy mayonnaise on this thing, and then you're gonna, have Mayweather v McGregor in sesame seeds on the top of this bun, and you're snipping out the pickles in the form of boxing gloves, and you're just going all out with this thing. I don't mind it, but I just wanted a cheeseburger.
I'm interested. There's different dynamics. It's going to be fun. So, all right. Well, we will figure out the schedule. As far as I know, the next show is in like 5 weeks, which is that No Mercy show, but which I believe is a Raw show. So we'll we will figure it out, and we will stay in touch, and we will let people. I would love to get more active on this YouTube channel, because I've seen the more active we are, obviously the more interaction there is. So I mean, by all means, if something goes down, we can maybe just come on here and do a little something for 15-20 minutes. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll gauge it, but we'll keep you posted with how things progress in the coming weeks. So thank you, Douglas. I appreciate it as always. Always fun to talk some wrestling with you. And we will talk to everybody very soon. Most likely 5 weeks for No Mercy, or possibly earlier than that. So
at the latest 5 weeks.
At the latest, at the very, very latest. But I'd like to think earlier. So, all right, everybody. Yes. We will talk to you later. Bye.